Hello, and welcome to this week's podcast. And this is the place and the space where we bring magic to our audience through extremely powerfully and potent coaches that are inside their zone of genius. So we bring to you every week something really exciting. And this week we've got something really important lined up. This is going to be a topic that I know a lot of our listeners are going to be very interested in hearing. It's from a beautiful divine coach, and her name is Sonia. And this beautiful lady, she helps single women manifest their ideal partner with effortlessness and ease, flow, and grace. So I wonder what it is that sometimes we tend to repeat our patterns in our relationships. We tend to have the same people show up, and I'm sure a lot of you can really resonate with this. So with no further ado, I give you the beautiful Sonia. Hello, Sonia.
Hi, Terry. Thank you for having me.
Now, do I say your name Sonia Koroleva?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that makes sense.
Fantastic. Okay, whereabouts are you, Sonia?
I'm located in California in the US.
Beautiful, beautiful. Where a lot of my clients hide out and, or should I say, enjoy and soak up that beautiful sun. They actually say that Perth is very similar to California. We've got beautiful, beautiful beaches over here.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. And it's on my bucket list to visit Australia, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. And hopefully soon with, travel easing up, it'll be within the realm of possibility for me. So I'm excited.
Absolutely, 100%. So, Sonia, as we explore this subject, this is probably a subject that a lot of people are going to be interested in, because even if it is not about your soul partner, it could be about your friends, your clients. And, the element that I notice myself is that we tend to attract the same kind of patterns and people and experiences into our lives. So I guess the first question is, what really propelled you to becoming a coach for single women to help them manifest their ideal partners?
Yeah, great question. So I guess to take it all the way back, I grew up coming from a divorced family, so I didn't really have a healthy blueprint of love to guide myself. And when I, became an adult and got out there into the dating world, and obviously I wanted to find that great supportive partnership, I was finding myself, like you said, attracting the same types of people, not what I was looking for, and just getting extremely disappointed and being stuck in that cycle. And with time, I gained confidence and I worked on different things to make myself a better player in the dating space, you could say. But it felt like a lot of the advice I saw out there was very much focused on changing your external circumstances, how to write these better messages or how to make your profile better, all of these types of things, the message to write to make him respond to you. But what actually worked for me ended up being none of that. So in 2020, I was extremely fed up with just where I was at in my dating, life. And I had done so many things for myself. I had lived my life, grown my career, traveled solo. I was doing everything I wanted to do. And the only thing missing was I wanted somebody to share that with. So, I had heard about manifestation and mindset out on the internet. And I was like, this is the only thing I haven't tried. And I'm curious because it sounds intriguing, but it also sounds a little suspicious. So let me just go and test this out. And so I kind of dove right in. And at the same time, I started working with a coach who I was working with on my relationship with my mother, my family. And so I just kind of dove right into the deep end with everything. And I explored, inner child work, NLP, and manifestation and mindset tools. And all of a sudden, it was like this completely new world opened up to me, not just with relationships, but with other things as well. But the quickest and, first thing I saw just completely shift in my life was that within 1 month of all these things kind of clicking for me, I manifested my ideal partner, my ideal relationship. And it's the person I'm still with, and we're very happy. And it was just like a light bulb went off. I was so shocked that for all those years I was feeling so stuck. And I just knew I wanted to share that with other women because I had friends who were going through the same thing. And I just wanted to share this gift that I had found with other people and help them accomplish the same success. Because if there's anything the pandemic has shown us, it's really that, what we have at the end of the day is love for other people and our relationships with other people. And that's ultimately what's most important. And I think that resonates with a lot of women, especially if they're having trouble in their dating life, is that they really they want that connection and that healthy partnership. At the end of the day, it's what's most important to so many. So that's kind of the journey there in a nutshell.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I hear you because, even when you're looking at addressing women who perhaps carry too much weight on their body, quite often it comes from that subconscious reason that they're really wanting to, obviously fill themselves with a void that's going on in their life. And, that can quite often come from a lack of love and, not feeling loved enough. So they use food as a way and a means to really try to fulfill that empty space, which is really, it's really sad. But I guess one of the things that I notice, especially as a Gen X person, is that, these days, it's all about Tinder. It's all about dating sites. It's all about, having that, profile and being branded and, and perhaps even capturing yourself in your greatest moments, which we all do that, right? And, obviously capturing ourselves in those greatest moments, then obviously you get to go and meet with the person and you think, hang on a minute, this is not the person that I thought I was connecting with. So what do you believe? Do you believe, it sounds like, obviously you went through all of that. And even if you did meet, because dating sites are, a great way of meeting people. But the fact is that even if you're showing up with the same frequency in your body and the same energy that you had when you were a child or 5 years ago, you're possibly going to be attracting the same person. So what do you believe you healed when you were obviously doing work on yourself? Because obviously the modalities you use, such as NLP, these are absolutely some of the most powerful modalities that can shift the biggest traumas in people's life. So did you discover that there were landmarks in your time that were very relevant to what you had been attracting?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, what you mentioned about self-image and your body is very relevant to so many women. I myself still have, but had very, large insecurities with different things. One of those things was, I'll just be very personal about it. I was super self-conscious about my nose. It has a bump on it. And so I was very self-conscious about my side profile. And in my earlier years, when I began dating and when I was younger, before I even had the courage to begin dating, I was a little bit of a late bloomer. So I never even dated, even throughout college. But I was, and this didn't become clear to me until a little bit later, but I was essentially rejecting myself before I ever gave anyone a chance to even get to know me and, potentially reject me. I was so self-conscious and in so much self-hate, you could say, at a subconscious level, because it's not like I would wake up and every day, think this, but when it would permeate and come through at those worst moments, it would really be that dominant belief system that I followed. And so, yeah, I was rejecting myself, not even giving anybody else a chance to get to know me. And, I didn't go through any physical changes. I did not get, any plastic surgery. But the difference between then and now is simply what I believe and how I see myself as a result of it, because I consistently consciously decided to look at myself and other things in my world differently. So, I feel for everyone who goes through, body dysmorphia or self-image problems, because although we all go through it in different ways, I've been there, and I can tell you that the only thing that changed for me was my own perception and sort of where I was internally with my mindset versus anything actually external. I know people talk about all the time is like, you can lose all the weight, you can change things about you, but nothing will change unless your mindset changes. And I just want to say that it's true, because it all starts from within. So hopefully that makes sense, but I've
It
definitely
does.
felt that.
It's very, very, it's huge. I mean, really, when people are, really crippled inside through the way they feel they look, and they're not having that self-love, and they've got that inner critic, that little monkey voice, speaking and chattering in their ear, you're not good enough, you don't look as good as that person over there. And I believe that our world is really showing up with people that, who can use filters for Instagram, Facebook, and show up how they want to show up, and have the, ability to do that. But in actual fact, it's okay, because I use filters as well, of course. But, the simple fact is that if you can't look at yourself in the mirror and totally embody and embrace all of you, then how is the next person? And furthermore, one of the biggest things is that when we shrink back, and we even when we're not out there saying to the world, oh, I have, self-worth issues, and I have self-image issues, and I don't like the way I look and everything else. I mean, I believe everybody is their own worst critic anyway. We don't say that. We don't. I mean, the chances are that you're not going to roll up at at a pub and say to a guy, hey, by the way, I've got self-image issues. And mind you, it might be a little bit refreshing if you did actually. But the fact is that it's the energy, and it's the energy that is sensed in the other person. And in actual fact, while a person is hiding it and they're suffering with, self-image, and it goes for anything. If you are suffering from anything in your life and you're keeping it to yourself, it's becoming bigger. It's turning into this dark monster, if you like, and it's becoming this, this secret that you're giving power to. But, the moment that you embrace it and you say, you know what? I don't feel 100% happy with the fact that my lighting is dark. Like, for example, right? My lighting is dark. My camera and my technology has had a mind of its own today. And I don't feel great about that. But you know what? I'm not called to be perfect. I am called to acknowledge what it is that I'm struggling with, and not to let it become a dark secret that festers and then attracts the same negative energy. Because it's almost like then when we're hiding it, when we attract people, they tend to, you energetically attract back into your life what your body and what your soul is trying to heal. So, you might be healing the parent, the mother, the father, the teacher, the person that put you down or beat you, or molested you, or whatever that is. And until you actually face up to it and you become aware of it, and even then leverage it as your platform to then become like yourself, Sonia, where you know what it's like to go through self-image issues. You know what it's like, right, to have, really struggled in that area with the relationships. And so now if I was to ask you to give, some of your greatest sources, if you will, about what you would say to a woman out there listening to this, someone that you're very aligned with, her heart, the depth of her soul, what she's battling with and what she's struggling with. What would you say to her? What would be your high recommendations for that person that's battling self-worth issues, relationship issues, not being treated the way they deserve?
Yeah, I mean, I know that's a big one and a tough one to kind of address with one thing, but I think what it all comes down to and what I start with, I guess you could say, coaching and, are we good? There we go. Within my coaching and within my program is I really always want them to ask the question is whose belief or whose story are you carrying here? Because a lot of times it's not our own opinion, it's not our own belief, but it's something we've accumulated, picked up, or been programmed with, however you want to call it, from a young age. And a lot of times it's from our family, from our parents, and then other times it's from peers during school, other things. So I know that it can vary, but I always ask, someone to just let's take a step back and question where this story or where these beliefs came from, because a lot of times we need to almost, detach from them as being a 100% truth that we can't, we can't let go of, because not a lot of things are 100% truth. A lot of things are a belief and a story that we've picked up. And so the first, step to accepting a new reality and accepting a new belief system is essentially, acknowledging where these stories are coming from and who gave them to us and what did we hear when we were younger and who told us those things. And now we're starting to pick up how all these things build up into a story. And from there, we take the decision and a step forward to the decisions of not allowing future events to just, attach to this story and have meaning. We're only going to give them meaning that we want to give them. And that's kind of how we start from a blank slate with releasing and rewiring those beliefs, is by kind of understanding and acknowledging where they came from. And like you mentioned, the tools of NLP, others are very helpful in doing that, because it allows us to take back that power and just acknowledge that things are not just black and white, they are not truth, and we get to decide a new reality. And the next step there is the magic of how much differently you see things show up after you start to adopt new beliefs. When you start, having this new identity and, really like rewriting that story, you start seeing a different reality show up around you. And that's the magic of manifestation that I think can be hard for people to get behind until they've seen it in their life. But once you see it, you don't really go back because it works. And, I've had this work for myself, my clients, and, I'm so passionate about it that I share it with everyone in my, my circle. And they're always surprised and shocked at how much things can change, that things that they didn't think they could accomplish. And all of a sudden it's beautifully unfolding in their life, just from making these few simple shifts. So I guess that's what I would go with as a first step forward.
Wow, that's fantastic. I absolutely love that. So, really when people start to understand that it's about really tapping into, what story are you telling yourself? Where is it coming from? Whose voice is it? Because the chances are it wasn't yours. You didn't come into the world with that story. So, acknowledging it. I love that. And then, of course, as you acknowledge where the stories come from, the next part is making the decision to make the meaning that you want and rewiring your story. Because, as Sonia says, this is really about what you want to create. You can rewire your mind. And when you realize that really it's only a meaning, it's just a meaning that you actually gave it yourself, that's when you can begin to move to the next level of rewiring that story, which is number 3 source, creating your new identity. And it's interesting that you talked about, the frequency or vibration along those lines, because this is the whole thing that happens when you're not even saying a word. Your frequency and your energy will shift. Mm-hmm. You will rise up. You won't have to go out and say, well, I own myself. You know what? I didn't like my nose, but I've decided this is the nose I'm born with. And wow, it works. And and I embody that. I embrace it. And you know what? That old story about the way that I was attracting, those relationships, that's just an old video. That's just a part of that Palladian heritage, if you will, where I can go back and I can look down like someone's given me the book of my future, and I can look at that and go, well, you know what? I needed to go through that. You needed to go through that, because guess what? You're called to do some divine work on this planet. You are called to become the person you want to be and to have that beautiful relationship. So when you look at it as you become the authority, so that pain body of experience becomes the light body, and then becomes the authority, and then that frequency. So I absolutely love this. And of course, I want to find out too about your program and what you are actually creating in your program. So if you'd like to tell us, Sonia, about the name of your program, perhaps what it involves, what a person can expect to go through while they're in there with you, and some of the biggest shifts you've actually seen for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. So my program is called Solo to Soulmate, and currently it's a 3-month program. But that could change in the future depending on what direction I take it. So currently we focus on 3 phases, and they kind of fall in line with some of what I've been talking about so far. So the first phase is called the reimagine phase. We kind of take a look at what's currently going on in our patterns, in our subconscious, and we become a neutral observer of it to really understand, why are these things playing out, but from a non-judgmental, not assigning meaning or stories point of view. And I think this phase is extremely crucial and very powerful for so many, because, you are oftentimes right in the midst of your thought spirals and your dating experiences, and you're not oftentimes able to become that neutral observer and find meaning and lessons from those patterns. So we do that first, and we also kind of come up with that initial list of what we want in an ideal partner, because we want to start getting your imagination going and really start for you to identify what it is you're seeking. And then we move into a rewire phase, which is where we actually take those beliefs that we've now uncovered and start rewriting them and rewiring them, while releasing all of the negative emotions and stories that are still tied to your old beliefs, and basically essentially making space for these new ones. And throughout this whole process, I offer guidance with your continuous dating mindset, as well as dating strategy, just to support you throughout the process, because I understand that there's ups and downs. And oftentimes after phase 2, my clients want to write a completely new list, because all of a sudden their horizons are expanded so much that they look at their old list and they're like, oh my gosh, I thought I could only have these 5 things. Like, I want to write 20 and I want to be super specific. And I'm, moving towards believing that this is possible for me. And I feel it. I mean, depends on where they're at, but some people are already there. Some people are on their way there. And that's when we enter into phase 3, which is personally my favorite phase, but it's the receive phase, where we get to really embody that receiving state and build trust in ourselves and the universe, and just really maintain that mindset. I want to set up my clients so that they are also great and okay without me being there, and that they have something sustainable that's going to last them throughout their whole life, in every part of their life, and also, be sustainable and be something that works within their life and, isn't leaving them burnt out. So those are kind of the three phases. And some of the biggest shifts I've seen are, kind of what I just talked about. I've seen women go from being unsure of that, if they can overcome, saying, oh, I don't know, I think I have too much history. I think I'm too messed up from my previous relationship. I don't know if I can overcome this, to feeling like, they are, going on better dates, meeting better people, and feeling so safe and secure in making their decisions in their dating life, not feeling like they're controlled by those ups and downs in their mindset, not feeling like they're controlled by their triggers, and really seeing a difference in what's showing up in their dating life, feeling like they have the tools and resources to support themselves throughout that process, and to really feel like that person is on their way. So, those are some of the biggest shifts. And I'm so honored to have this space to do this work with women, because seeing those shifts and seeing them adopt better beliefs, and beliefs that allow them to expand their horizons and I think I was asking for too little. Like, this is what my ideal partner looks like, and I know I deserve this, is just so magical and so special to me. So that's my program in a nutshell.
That is just incredible. I love that. Now, if our viewers want to get in contact with you, what I'm going to get you to do is drop your link into our group, and also we will drop it into the podcast so that it will be there for people to actually find you. But is there any quick, easy way to find you if someone is listening and really wants to get in contact with you, Sonia?
Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram or Facebook. And again, it sounds like I'll drop those links in, but unfortunately my name is not super easy, I guess, off the bat to spell, but it's exactly what my name is, SoniaKoroliva.co. That's my Instagram handle. So SoniaKoroliva.co. And then on Facebook, it's just my name, Sonia Koroliva. So that is how you can find me if you want to go for it really quick. And then the links, I'm assuming, will be just accessible as well.
That's just amazing. And thank you so much for sharing your gold nuggets. And, I know that it's so many people suffer, and they suffer in silence. They go through thinking, oh, there's something wrong with me, or they're busy looking over their shoulder at, friends that seem to be so happy and all loved up. And, they really, they self-sabotage themselves by really comparing them. So, to really bring this topic out front and show people that it doesn't matter what you've been through, how much you've endured. And as Sonia was saying before, some people think, oh, I've had so many things happen to me, like, where do I begin? Well, this is where we navigate. People like Sonia and myself can navigate very, very quickly to find the root cause. And, it's in that moment when, you find those elements that were landmarks that imprinted you, that impacted you, that affected you. And you get to embrace them. You get to embody them. You get to say, thank you, and then release them and rewire. And it doesn't matter if you've had 100 experiences that are dark, because this can be done so quickly. So, Sonia, I just want to thank you so much for sharing in this. And I really, I know that there's a lot of people in my circle who may be very, very interested. just to focus in on that element of, rewiring, because the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. You change this, you rewire this element that maybe that it's relationships that are really, really just you're desperately struggling with. You'll find, and Sonia, I'm sure you've seen this yourself, a whole myriad of your life just changes for the better, like a domino.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. I've seen my clients, come back to me after, a week between sessions saying, I just got a raise. Like, I don't even know. I just came back from vacation and I got a raise from my boss, things like that, where it's just, like you said, it's a domino effect and you will start to see so many things shift. So obviously I lead with the dating piece, the relationship piece, but it's not just going to be confined to that. I can tell you that for sure.
Oh, absolutely. It's all high frequency. It's all about when you shift that boulder, you're kind of making room for all this new, beautiful, juicy energy to come in and just start manifesting, your magic. So again, thank you. And I would love to talk to you about your program as well backstage. So if I can ask you to wait backstage. And yes, thank you again, Sonia. This has been an amazing conversation.
Thank you, Terry.
Wow, what a lady. So guys, what can I say? If this has been your experience, negative relationships, that you've been attracting them, that you feel that silent desperation of your own self-worth and the way that you see yourself, then I would strongly suggest get in contact with Sonia. Now, you may have a story that you want to make your glory. You may have a zone of genius that you want to share right here on my podcast. You can go to my website, terrymessenger.com, and you can contact me or find me on social media, Instagram and Facebook, and let's connect to find out your story. Let's share it to the audience. Or perhaps you would like me to take a deep dive into how we can discover your zone of genius and turn the pain of your story into your glory. My name's Terry Messenger. Until our next podcast, see you soon.